Welcome to the On the Slab Horror Show with me, your host, Ian the Dynamo Kelly, joined by my left-hand man today, the G-Man, Greg Flanagan, and that's with a capital G to you peasants. No, I kid. We've
G-Money.
G-Money, G-Unit. There's only two of us today, so not much of a unit. You'll notice that I have been absent for the last couple of weeks, taking care of a few personal matters that involved a flood in a home. So that was fun. I'm back today. And it turns out that Carl's out. So we're like a football team at the moment with a lot of injuries. And as soon as one comes back to fitness, the other one is AWOL.
Couple of hot tags in here.
Couple of hot tags. But we wish Carl well. And he'll be back, no doubt, next week. But it is Friday night, and we do record this show well in advance of Friday night. And why do we give it to them on Friday, Greg?
Why do we do it? Why not? Because Friday night is horror night, baby.
Damn straight it is. So,
well, actually, technically every night's horror night, but if you look,
well, if you're us,
Friday is the nostalgic horror night.
Yeah. If you're us, and every night is horror night and football night, so it's just kind of one of those things. It's sport night and horror night, depending on what way the wind blows.
The good horror memories come from a Friday night.
Of course. We do have a hell of a show today, and that's no pun intended. To be fair, I'm happy with that. I'm actually proud of that one. I didn't even plan that one, so I'm actually really happy with that one. Yeah, that was organic. But speaking of something pretty awesome that you may just stumble upon one day and possibly purchase something really cool like this. Well, don't worry about that, because you don't need to stumble on it any longer, because we're going to give it to you. Greg, tell them who is presenting this show today, other than us, who's bringing the show to the people today, and what do they do?
The one, the only, the single best horror apparel in the planet.
Fact.
Bar none. It is Fright Rags. Single best you'll ever get. I have tops that are 10 years old, and I'm down to the new ones that we've got. As you can see, Ian there has his They Live that's relatively new. Mm-hmm. My tops that are 10 years old are still the exact same colour as that. Mm-hmm. And you've seen them on this show.
I've seen them in person.
Yeah, you've seen... now, unfortunately, they're actually in the wash today, so I can't think. But they actually dropped one of my all-time favourite classics this week. They dropped The Burbs. And I'm looking at it going, no, just take my money. Just take it.
Yeah.
Might as well just sign my paycheck over to them and be like, here you go.
Yeah.
Long sleeve, short sleeve. Just go and check it out. www.fright-rags.com. You won't be sorry. And of course, then when you get to the end, after buying everything that you need, type in OTS Horror 10 for a 10% discount. And courtesy of the boys.
Exactly. And do be sure to buy in bulk, lads, because the more you buy, the better the discount will actually be. Depending on what part of the world you're in, you could be in the States and you might just want to buy that one t-shirt. That 10% is going to be pretty whopper for you. But if you're here in Europe and, if you buy 3, 4, 5 t-shirts, that's almost taken care of pretty much most of the customs. You know what I mean?
And the shipping, probably, yeah.
So it's really, really cool. We have pretty much our basket is full every other week because the great lads over at Fright Rags just keep bringing out too much goddamn awesome content. But as Greg said, OTS Horror 10 will get you 10% off, which means that they'll know that the On the Slab boys sent you. So they'll look after you. But on to today's show, now that business is taken care of. We thought we would go back to our decades list. And obviously the last show, Greg, you were a part of, which was the 40s. I wasn't here for that. So we're now going on to the 50s, which for me personally, in terms of the old school kind of nostalgic horrors, this is actually one of my favorite decades personally.
This is where it starts to really heat up.
Ooh, yeah, this is where it heats up. You're getting Technicolor in here. You're still getting black and white, but then you're coming into the Technicolor era as well. Hammer Horror, for example, Greg, were on fire in this decade, on absolute fire.
I mean, like this, like I know I said 30s overall is probably the best genre because everything was original to an extent.
That's a narrative that you could go with. That's a narrative you could go with, yeah.
But definitely the quality of movies and the quality of camera work and acting and obviously CGI, well not CGI, but like makeup and things just gets remarkably better. The storytelling just gets better and better.
And three of my favorite actors of all time really go to town in this decade, which is of course Vincent Price, Peter Cushing, and Christopher Lee. Good Lord, can you find many better trios than that? I don't think so.
Not that I can think of in any genre at the minute, anyway.
Ever.
Unless you go Schwarzenegger, Stallone, and Van Damme or someone in action, but that'd be about it.
In action, yeah. Well, you know, I don't know. I wouldn't be putting Van Damme ahead of Bruce Lee, but that's a conversation for a different time. It's a conversation for a different type of show. Well, look, you have the list there as well, Greg. So we'll go in order of how we wrote. So basically, just to give you a bit of context, I came up with this list, but as always, we delegate. It's a diplomacy here. So generally what we'll do is we'll all kind of pitch a list together, and you know, if someone wants to kind of put something else in, we'll kind of go, okay, and we'll switch around here. I put this list together for the lads, and they were actually pretty happy to go ahead with it because they know the movies.
100%.
And Greg will have a couple of honorable mentions at the end as well, which I think is only fair because there's a couple of belters in the honorable mentions. So
it's mental when you look at some of the movies that were in this and didn't make this top 10.
It's crazy, and it's not for lack of trying. It was literally just a case because to condense it to 10, it's like you'll notice like the previous eras we've done have been 5, the top 5. This is where the amount of material and movies that were coming out was just.
It's not even that. Like, there's a lot of there's obviously young people and all that listen to the show that probably won't sit and watch a lot of the older movies.
Yeah,
which is a shame, really, because like it's paving the way to what has come now.
Yeah,
and they've done it at a time when it was not heard of. But like this is when movies started to really ramp up.
Yeah,
in quality.
Yeah. Why don't we get into the first one? And by the way, these are no particular order, so we're not kind of rating them out, in place of 1 to 10 or 10 to 1. We went with the.
Well, actually, look.
Go ahead.
Right, sorry, I'll cut you off there. Just before we go on to this, when you look at that list, where we're going to read out to you now over the next 20 minutes, half an hour or so, a lot of these have been rebooted and remade. Like that's how influential these movies became. Especially this first one got a reboot in 2004 or something. 2005, I think.
2004, yeah, it was.
Right. It didn't hold up quite as well as the original did, now, mind you. But
well, this one, when you think about it, for 1956, a budget of $416,911, and it boxed office $3 million. So, I mean. That's definitely making your money back because that's at a time where mostly that was pretty much pure profit. Like, so, I mean, you'd be looking at maybe 1.5 million profit in that, which I don't know.
1950s, it's a lot of money.
Yeah, like in terms of today's kind of inflation, you'd probably be looking at maybe up around the 30 million mark, maybe, possibly because of the way the war in Russia's making things go fucking sky high. So.
Sure.
But it's definitely up there. I'm not a mathematics guy, but I wouldn't say I'm too far off.
That's Ted's that's Tombstone Ted's aspect.
That's Tombstone Ted's aspect. But we'd be here talking numbers all night if Ted was here, so we're not going to do it. Sorry, Ted. Not today, pal. Not today, kid. Right, so we've gone for the incredible 1956 Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
Oh, I thought we were going the other way. The remake that I was talking about is a different movie. It didn't come out in 2005. I thought we were going the other way in the list. Sorry, that's my mistake.
We'll go from one. We'll go from one. But it wasn't the 2000s, the remake.
Was it?
Yeah, it was. Because I had to click here for my research. I had to click which one it was.
I didn't even know that. There was a remake of that.
My apologies. I was thinking of something else as well. The remake was 1978, should I say?
Oh, yeah, that's okay. Yeah, I knew that one. I was like, there's a remake. Yeah.
1978. I got mixed up too. Look, we're already off to a professional start because Greg keeps interrupting me. So, Greg, go on.
Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
You had nothing to do with that. I'm just blaming you. I'm passing the parcel.
The Body Snatchers are taking over.
Dude, what like unreal. Dr. Miles Bennell.
This movie terrified me.
Yeah, like patients keep coming up to him basically with the same complaints. Their family, their friends, or whatever. Basically, just they're like droids. They're like, do you know what I mean? They're drones, basically.
Kevin McCarthy was brilliant in this.
How good was man? Fuck me. This was a phenomenal movie. We're not gonna go through like the deep dive and all these. Watch it for yourself if you haven't. Like what Greg said, even if there is kind of some of the younger people that are watching this, I know my little cousin Carla watches this show, by the way. Shout out to Carla. She's literally like 10.
Awesome.
She absolutely loves the show. But she watches all the movies that we talk about, and if there's any kind of kids in and around that age, or kind of, even a little bit older, that kind of don't really like the appeal of the old 30s and 40s movies for whatever reason, you will like these movies because these are like very, very psychological as well, and they're a bit probably easier to watch if you've not got a great attention span. I'm sure
the great Jack Finney was in this as well, wasn't he?
He was.
Yeah.
Some of the women were beautiful as well back then, like Dana Winter and all. Like they were just unbelievable. Yeah. Dana Winter's she's the name, but like, oh yeah, Dana Winter. It was Dana Winter. Yeah. Jesus.
Yeah, that's the real name. Yeah.
Someone else. Yeah. So yeah, Invasion of the Body Snatchers. We'll go on to the next one, which is a personal favorite of both of ours, and I mean, I would love to see a remake of this, but I mean, done in the same, you know what I mean, within the same kind of.
Who would you get to do it? Surely have to be Carpenter.
Yeah, straight away. That was the name. It
would have had to. It'd have to be.
It really would, because I think he's the only one that. Because I think Zombie would look. I like Zombie. But I think he would go too over the top with it, possibly. But a Zombie, I don't know. If you were looking for if it was a younger person, I would think Zombie possibly would have an affinity, because I don't know. I kind of have I think he'll be judged on his next film, basically, which, as we know, is the Monsters. So
yeah,
I think
that would fit him. I think it's just the way Carpenter shoots things to make them look scarier. He would work much better.
He would be number one for me to 100%. But the Creature from the Black
Lagoon, he could direct anything though.
Yeah, you know what I mean. He could direct a rom-com and still make it interesting. He's that good.
Yeah.
So the Creature from the Black Lagoon, 1954, unbelievable movie. This
was far ahead of its time.
Way ahead of its time, and even the monster, the creature, like, I mean, the gills on it, even underwater, like, it looked.
You've been to Universal yourself. They still show that up in the horror part of it.
Yeah.
That, and along with Psycho and whatnot.
They have the horror cafe there as well. They have all the pictures of the old the old movie. It's unbelievable.
How someone in 1954 turned around 1959 turned around and went, this is how I'm going to design this. Like you'd never seen anything like this before. No. Now, obviously, we've seen it in the 50s, and people tweak it and twinge it and change it slightly, or CGI it and make a balls of it. But like, to come up with that, the creativity in this era was just off the charts.
Isn't this one of Tom Savini's favorite movies and costume designs as well? Because I remember watching that documentary. He actually has a version of the creature from the Black Lagoon, and he kind of.
He has the full size one, doesn't he?
Yeah, I think he may have even have the original mold, if I'm not correct.
You could picture that man dropping hundreds of grand on random stuff.
Millions, man. Yeah. So this is just an unbelievable movie. Like I said, we're not going to go down and kind of give narratives on them because we want you to watch them. Every one of these you need to watch. Number 3, we went with The Incredible. Now there was a remake of this, obviously.
It's painful.
Which was very painful. But this is I only watched this. I showed Rachel this about, I want to say about 4 or 5 months ago. She hadn't seen it. Usually she wouldn't watch the black and whites with me, but she did with this one because I was like, you want to see one of Vincent Price's best movies? They're all great, but you want to see one of his best? Check this out. So
with his pencil mustache.
I can't even do his voice. How? It's just so fucking.
Nobody can.
No, it's so unique. But yeah, House on Haunted Hill. I mean, look, it's a classic. The even the kind of creepy kind of ghosts or ghouls or whatever you want to call them back then they were fucking creepy, like that little old lady kind of thing coming through.
Again, this is another movie that's 10, 15, 20 years ahead of its time.
Without a doubt. Without a shot. And black and white just works for some of these movies, doesn't it? It just works.
It's phenomenal, doesn't it? I think this in color probably wouldn't have worked as well because you would have seen a lot more effects looking shoddier.
Yeah. It's kind of like when you look at something like this and say you look at like Young Frankenstein, which is obviously a comedy movie, a Mel Brooks movie.
Genius. That's genius.
Which is a genius movie. But it's like, that movie, it wouldn't have worked in color. It's the same thing when you've got like certain movies like that, they fit. And I know that's a comedy movie, but it was obviously a tribute to the old Frankenstein.
Oh yeah, 100%
stuff. But I think House on Haunted Hill, it's meant to be in black and white. And don't forget, this is in 1959 where they could have easily done it in Technicolor, as they called it back then, because there were movies that had already started.
It started to happen, yeah.
Yeah, and this was a Hollywood movie, so I think they went with the right choice here. Number 4, which obviously is the inspiration for one of both of our favorite movies.
This is the inspiration. This probably spawned the single best remake of any movie. Maybe The Fly might be the other one.
But it'd be there.
But yeah,
what is it, Greg?
The Thing from Another World.
1951, by the way.
Genius. This is just pure out and out genius.
Yeah.
Man. And this is obviously it spanned The Thing that John Carpenter done, which went on to be a worldwide phenomenon, even though it flopped in the cinema in the first couple of weeks, which we touched on a number of weeks ago back on the show. This was just phenomenal. This was just this was so out there. This shouldn't have worked. That's the easiest thing I can say.
It's kind of like the Quatermass experiment, isn't it? Like the Hammer horror done, like when they went done the sci-fi stuff, but then they took it to this one, just took it was a different level to that even. It's
I say this all the time when I'm talking about this. This should not have worked. This should have been a major flop.
Yeah.
And thank God it wasn't, because we ended up getting even the 2011 one was pretty good.
You recall a while back we done a show. Now it's kind of lost in the archive somewhere, but maybe we should kind of revisit it and do it again with the three of us. But remember when I told you during COVID times,
you watched them back to back?
I watched them back to back because originally I had kind of watched 10 minutes of it and went, this isn't for me, without knowing the full context. But when I actually watched them back to back, it makes sense. And when you do watch them back to back, good Lord, get yourself a fucking 16-inch pizza, a big ass bottle of Coke Zero, or whatever the hell you drink, and literally sit there and watch these two back to back. It makes absolute
3 hours, 20 minutes of pure genius.
Oh, unbelievable. And I think the guys that done the movie, you see, I think a lot of people got turned off of the 2011 movie because they thought it was like a remake or in its own. Because don't forget, yeah, and me too, because it was those motherfuckers that tried to remake The Fog that left a bad taste in our mouth with the whole John Carpenter.
that was bad.
Like how rude and how narcissistic and how egotistical do you have to be to think that you can touch any of John Carpenter's work and make it better?
Yeah,
and I'm saying that to you too, Rob Zombie, even though I know you tried to do a different take on it, but still.
Yeah, like his one wasn't bad, but I think it fell into the problem of having the same name and trying to run off the same story.
It wasn't bad. I'm kind of so biased and so loyal to John Carpenter that even though I like Rob Zombie, once he said it was bullshit, I was like, yeah, that's bullshit.
Yeah, it's all like you know? It wasn't awful, but it was piggybacking off a name.
It wasn't awful. There was a great fan thing that they done actually with the Halloween remake. Well, with Rob Zombie's version.
Rob Zombie.
And somebody went to the trouble, obviously had a lot of time on their hands. I don't even know if they made money out of it or just got YouTube subs or likes. But they basically replaced all the Rob Zombie music with the original Halloween music. So
I'd say it made it better.
Oh, yeah, 100%. And it was actually really cool. It was like, okay, it's a little bit different. But yeah.
I think the music makes Halloween even better. Like if you change that music, even if you up tempo it probably makes it doesn't work as well.
No, it's slow, it's methodical. It's like, look, I'd be a big fan of John Carpenter's music anyway. Like he does his own kind of synth albums and stuff like that. And
he's magic.
He's a fucking genius. So yeah, The Thing from Another World. We get on to number 5, which is obviously a movie that's been talked about on this show before. Hammer Horror. We're kind of going to get into a couple of Hammer Horrors here on the list. Hammer, obviously, because they wouldn't have had the rights to a lot of the original classic books and stuff because they were all bought by Universal. The rights to make films were all bought by Universal. But Hammer, in the genius British way of making movies back then, I mean, the British really were a genius with television and movies as well, weren't they? You know,
you just tweak it ever so slightly.
Oh, absolutely genius. And they went a little bit of a darker route with Ireland's own, of course, Bram Stoker, his classic of Dracula. And they called it The Horror of Dracula in 1958. One of Hammer's early first, I think it may have even been her first color movie, in fact, or it was definitely one of the first. Anyway.
Definitely one of them, yeah.
It was 100%. Lads, Christopher Lee, my God, absolutely. This shows the genius of the man, because like I'm an absolute avid fan of Bela Lugosi. I love Bela Lugosi, but I absolutely love Christopher Lee. I adore Christopher Lee, and did not in any way, shape, or form look at what Bela Lugosi had done and take anything from it. Which is, and that's obviously wasn't disrespectful to Bela Lugosi, but just made it his own.
I just think he knew if he went that route, it'd always just be compared to that. Like Bela Lugosi. So like I've said it on previous episodes, I think Gary Oldman done the best Dracula. I think Christopher Lee had the best presence, and I think Bela had the best movie.
It's a fair take. I think it's a fair take. I mean, look, the most accurate to the book is obviously Gary Oldman's one, and obviously Gary Oldman's just an unbelievable actor. And you know what I mean. So it's definitely the most accurate to the book. I think depending on what generation you grow up on, you're probably going to go with one of the three. The older generation will probably tell you Bela Lugosi, and that's fair because just that eyes and the face is what really got him to the dance. Whereas Christopher Lee had the face and the presence. I mean, the guy is 6'3", you know, war veteran, absolute
Is that all he is? 6'3",
6'3" or
or all he
6'4".
was?
6'3" or 6'4", yeah.
Seems when you see him on the telly on the screen, even in the likes of Lord of the Rings, he just looked.
It's
I
his
know
presence, though.
obviously you can
It's his
make.
posture.
I know you can make people look taller and stuff,
I
but
love that only
he
6'3"
just looks
or
huge and
6'4".
everything.
Me coming in at 5'9", I'm kind of like, what the fuck are you talking about? But then I'm like, you're a big lummox.
Yeah, I'm 6'1".
Yeah, but no, but he
So
had a presence and such, like the voice was so baritone and deep, and
yeah,
the hair
he
slicked back, good looking fella.
was
But
genius.
obviously the makeup and then that scene with the blood red eyes and the fangs. I mean, that's the scene, right? That's the fucking
He
that's the shot.
you talk to anybody, yeah. There's certain scenes from movies that people remember. That's the one you really remember from this.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Or actually, the opening scene when you see him when he's coming down the stairs.
Oh, yeah. And it's so
That's
casual,
that there.
calm.
Yeah,
But he's
yeah.
calm and he's like, hello, welcome to Castle
Yeah.
Dracula, and it's like,
No, I do like Gary Oldman tried to do that, and I think that's what I didn't. There was one of the only parts like the movie wasn't great, but that when he tried to do that coming into the castle, and he tried to do that, and I was like, don't do that. Make it your own.
yeah,
Don't do that.
because it was like, we had Bela Lugosi was welcome to my home. You know what I mean? It was
Yeah,
kind of like, he was trying to mix the two, which is fair enough. But
yeah.
and of course, you get that great comfort in the movie with the ever calming Vincent Price as Van Helsing. So
Another genius. Like,
these two
what more
guys,
could you want?
together just absolutely made
Yeah,
gold. They were. I mean, they were best friends on top of that, which is just, you could see that synergy when they were on screen together, and just a
Peter
fantastic.
Cushing. Peter Cushing would have been right up there with them as well.
Yeah, well, I said Vincent Price. Sorry, I meant Peter Cushing. Sorry, my apologies. Thank you for saying that there, because someone would have called me out on that. It's been a long day.
I
Peter
got you.
Cushing. Yeah, I know. I knew that. And you
Yeah.
knew I knew too. I was like, what the fuck am I saying here? I corrected myself at least and topped what you had said. Sorry, Peter Cushing. Yeah, Peter Cushing. I mean, they were the yin to the yang. They were best friends. Obviously, when he passed in 1993, it was so amazing to hear how Christopher Lee was so fond of him and just never forgot his memory and stuff like that. So it was pretty cool.
And like he took an awful lot with that. Like there's things that he kept certain things in his wallet belonging to him and stuff.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know how true all them stories are, but
that is true. I watched an interview with Christopher Lee talking about that. Like, he kept a lot of his stuff, and it was really kind of sad, but like nice,
yeah.
But this is
it's nice to see those touches.
It is.
Yeah.
We went with another one, The Mummy, in 1959.
Another one that spanned about 42 remakes.
Yeah, and my God,
this one, Boris Karloff.
Wow. I mean, we talk about Peter Cushing, Vincent Price, and Christopher Lee being kind of the next generation, but good Lord, Boris Karloff. And
what a man.
Yeah,
that's all. There's nothing more that needs to be said. What a man.
Yeah, amazing. Like, I thought it was, obviously the original 1930, we went with the 1959 movie, and I didn't go with it because obviously the 30s one, you went with Boris Karloff. So
yeah,
I'm gonna correct you on this one now, because that was the 1932 movie.
Sure was.
We went with.
We're not doing this on purpose, we swear.
Obviously, this one was Peter Cushing and Christopher Lee. Christopher Lee, of course, these lads just made, as we said, they made Goldust together. Christopher Lee is the Mummy in this, obviously, because of his, his size and stature.
62 foot tall.
Yeah. But it's a really kind of creepy one. But like, it's kind of like, we talk about Bela Lugosi and Boris Karloff. They were the two. Do you know what I mean? They were the two back in the day.
Yeah, this is where it changed.
Yeah, these were the follow-on. Like, I mean, Vincent Price done a lot of kind of solo stuff, which he was great at. But in terms of having two guys that just had synergy on screen, these are the two.
Yeah.
It's an amazingly underrated Hammer movie that I would encourage people to watch.
I'd say, looking at this list, that's the one I've seen probably the least.
Check it out. We're going to follow on from another 1959 movie. These boys were working hard because Bray Studios, which is also a really cool thing for you and me, Bray Studios in the UK,
100%,
where all the movies were
made. Up to Bray.
Horror. This one is the Hound of the Baskerville. A take on the great Sherlock Holmes stories.
Brilliant.
This one, now I'm sure you've seen this one, the Hammer version, obviously. Again,
yeah. Would you like to guess who's in it?
There you go.
I mean, the two lads must have signed a massive deal with Hammer.
Yeah, I think they enjoyed working together. I mean, obviously Peter Cushing, he's the perfect Sherlock Holmes, isn't he? The whole calm, kind of light voice, and but then again, Christopher Lee could have been a great Sherlock Holmes too. This is the great thing about it. You could have literally flipped the coin with those two. But I think
Vincent Price would have been a good one.
He would have, but obviously this was a Hammer movie, and that lad was probably charging a bomb, getting that Hollywood money. So he was probably like,
and rightly so.
Oh, and rightly so. But if anyone hasn't seen this, really check out The Hound of the Baskerville from Hammer in 1959. This is actually one of my personal favorites, and I actually kept a lot of my personal favorites off this, like movies like The Gorgon and movies like that.
It's very, very hard to do because personal preference is very easy. And I could run off 10 movies that aren't on this list.
Of course.
And you're like,
same with me. But I had to think of the bigger picture here and kind of, because this was like the great thing that Hammer had and why they're so prominent on this list is that they really kind of had that kind of gothic kind of style down to perfection, didn't they? Like all of their they had that and everything, like, were just like you were like, I'd love to be there. Like that's what people used to drink in trunkards and stuff like that. It was very neo-gothic and very almost 1800s.
They had an uncanny ability of making a castle look different every time,
and it was in the same fucking place.
It looks completely different and equally as scary.
Oh man, that's exactly it. Their sets were just scary looking. But yeah, that's our number 7. The last Hammer movie that we left in this list, we went with The Curse of Frankenstein, 1957, which I'm sure you've seen. This one now was actually before I mentioned earlier, for anyone that wanted to correct me. I mentioned earlier Dracula was one of the first Technicolor
color.
This one was also Technicolor, so this was definitely one of the first.
Well, this was the year before. This was 57, and Dracula was 58.
Exactly. Again, these boys are working fucking hard.
Well, I mean, any of those lads that were working for Hammer and all at the time, probably once they got one in and it went well, they were like, "Oh, we've made it now."
Just non-stop. Now, listen, this is a standout performance from Peter Cushing.
Robert Carlson.
Victor Frankenstein, and my God, he goes from this to that. He goes from a 0 to a 10 throughout this movie.
Would you go as far as saying this is his best movie?
It's up there. It's definitely up there. In terms of individual performance, because obviously, listen, Christopher Lee is amazing as Frankenstein, definitely, and the makeup again, they made him look very, very different to the original Frankenstein with the bolts coming out of his neck and the flat top and the big.
I mean, they had to do something because otherwise they were 100% getting sued.
100, yeah, but they done it where he looked actually more gnarly and actually looked more like a corpse that was dug out of the ground. To be fair, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it definitely had that rotten kind of flesh look to it.
Yeah, looked like a zombie.
Do
you know what I mean?
Yeah. Where the other ones where like you could see the patchwork that he got it off this person, that person,
Yeah.
which also worked very well.
Oh no, it did. It did. But this was just a great take on it. Peter Cushing. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I would say this is definitely up there with one of his best movies in terms of just his individual performance. Because we know with Christopher Lee's later work in the Draculas as well, with Hammer, he done such a fantastic job of not really saying anything. And it was all about his presence. Because they obviously, you mentioned earlier that was the scene with the eyes. They obviously cashed in on that and went, more of that, please. Make him a little bit more.
See that? Just keep putting that in my wallet.
Exactly. So, yeah, 100%. That's our number 8. I would 100%. If people want to see a little bit of a different take on Frankenstein and a little bit more a darker take, definitely go and check it too.
You could nearly go as far as saying this is a better take.
Oh, but I would say so.
Like, I know you're a big Hammer fan anyway.
Yeah, but I'm also a big Universal Monsters fan as well. So it's like, but I can separate the two and almost have them as two separate entities. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. Like, so you have to be able to do that in this because they're not the same.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? Like, as it says, you see Christopher Lee as Dracula and you see Bella, and they were done completely different.
Yeah, it's not a battle.
And they were done completely different for a reason. It wasn't as if Hammer were trying to battle Universal because there was only ever going to be one winner.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%.
Universal had the money to shut them down. But I think there was that respect between the two. Do you know what I mean? Like, whoever ran Universal's horror department went, do you know what? This is good for us because we'll put one out 2 years later. They'll put one out and we'll just go back and forward and we'll make loads 100%. And loads of money.
Competition is good, you know what I mean?
Yeah. But Universal knew they could blow it out of the water anyway.
Well, especially with the capital behind them, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's really what it boiled down to. But I think Hammer were just so inventive and so
they changed it.
They did, and they had Warner Bros behind them as well. Do you know what I mean? It was kind of like for their American audience too. So it was like it wasn't getting lost on just kind of the UK and Europe. And you know what I mean? It was. They were really, really smart in how they played. As you said, they knew they didn't have the same capital that sort of Universal would.
Yeah,
they definitely had the writers and the know-how to kind of just make it.
I mean, they went as far as changing the game a little bit in terms of reinventing characters that already existed.
They made it less PG anyway. That's for sure. They made it more adult themed. I think.
Yeah,
that's
100%. Yeah,
that'd be fair to say, wouldn't it?
I could show Bella's Dracula to Finn probably next year when he's 6, 7, say.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? And it won't be too bad. But I wouldn't show Christopher Lee's one.
No.
Do you know what I mean?
Frankenstein.
Same with the Frankenstein. Same with the Wolfman.
Yes.
Oliver
Reed.
Kind of way.
Yeah. Oliver Reed, geez, he was so young in that.
What a man.
What a man. Yeah, good old fighting Irishman. Even though he was adopted Irish. Most of these lads just had adopted themselves as Irish, didn't they?
Yeah. Robert Quinn has been the big
100%.
Sorry, not Robert Shaw.
Robert Shaw. Well, he's Quint to a lot of people, so we'll keep that.
He should have just legally changed his name to Quint.
And Sean Connery, to be fair, you know.
So he had a big mansion in Bray, do you remember?
He did, yeah.
That nobody knew about.
A great train robbery, which was right up fucking behind us all. We didn't know. Yeah. Just literally there.
But do you know what I mean? Like, there's a mansion up there that he owned and no one even knew about it.
It's hidden away up behind like Clover Hill and all those places. Yeah, it's unbelievable.
Mad.
Yeah,
we're
marking out for our own town as always here, lads. It's one of those towns. We're not from Wicklow or Dublin. We're from Bray.
Yeah. Bray may be in Wicklow and Dublin, but it's just Bray.
It's just. I'm sure there's lots of listeners that can probably relate to that. Especially you, Aaron, down in Arklow, if you're watching.
Aaron's down in Wexford.
Oh, he's Wexford, is he?
Yeah.
Same thing.
Aaron, yeah, might as well be.
Might as well.
That's obviously shout out to Aaron on First Class Horror.
Yeah, he's our boy. Number 9,
good lad he is.
Great lad, and he's going to be making a lot more appearances on this show. So, watch out for that.
He might not know that yet, but it's going to happen.
He's
I know.
He gets the call from.
We're in conversation.
Any three of us now, I think he gets the call. He's going to make time. He's going to make time.
He's a good lad.
He's a great kid. Last two. We went with It Came from Outer Space. Now I know this is one that probably a lot of people will be like, I've heard of it and I know the name, but I've never seen it.
Now, I've seen it, but there's 3 or 4 of these, right? So I always mix them up. This is the one in the desert.
That's right. It's 1953 with Richard Carlson.
Yeah, this is the one in the desert. Yeah, this is the best of them.
Yeah, 100,000,000%. This is the best of them.
Yeah, this is the best of them. Yeah,
a great.
It came from outer space. It came from here. It came from there.
But a great little fun movie. They even tried to make it 3D back in the day. God bless them. And, which was to be fair was a
inventive.
Bold. I know that sounded very sarcastic of me there, but it was. No, it was man, another fantastic movie, an endeavor that was definitely very, very bold and shouldn't have worked. I think again, but man, absolutely fantastic movie. I mean, Barbara Rush and everything in this movie. Barbara Rush looking only as she can look. In the great work of boy.
Yeah.
So
we'll leave it there. So
we'll leave it there. So and we'll move on because we don't want to be divorced.
That one was phenomenal.
Phenomenal. That was 1953 as well, and we follow that up with our final movie, which was also made in 1953.
This was the one we mixed up.
Originally got mixed up with the remake. Yeah. In the remake, there was a bit of a dud in it in the name of Paris Hilton. However, one scene in the remake that brought me great pleasure, which I had hoped was real, in fairness, but it wasn't, was the nail going right up her foot.
No, so bad.
Yeah. It's pretty nasty.
It's like we only said it last week, myself and Ted, when we had Chris on. And we were talking, you're like, it's all well and good seeing people being blown up and this, that, and the other doesn't bother you. But if you look at someone standing on a fucking nail or breaking their fingers or their something like that.
Throat slit sometimes is a little bit, isn't it? Yeah, because like you don't often see people getting blown to bits. Or leg breaks. Leg breaks is always one. You know, like we play football a fair bit. We've played sports pretty much all our lives. You know what I mean? So like anything with leg breaks or limb breaks or like that, it's like
the shoulder, dislocated shoulder for me is one, and I'm just like, oh.
Well, the great thing about me is some people probably can't tell on here, but you know this, Greg. My shoulder here is a little bit lower because I actually broke my AC, so I tore my AC. So that's a little ligament basically that separates your collarbone, that attaches your collarbone.
He's hanging limp.
Oh no, well in fairness, I physioed the fuck out of it, so it's grand now. It's strong, but even like sometimes when I was back doing weights, like you could hear a click. So if you're doing like a shoulder press, you could hear a click because it's a little bit lower, and you'd be like, "Oh fuck!" So it's
felt every bit of that, but. Like the nail, the thing going up through the back of her heel and into her Achilles is just rotten.
Nasty, but
that's about the best bit of that movie.
But it happens to Paris Hilton, so you don't have too much sympathy for her. No,
it's true.
No, it's House of Wax, 1953.
Yeah. This is phenomenal.
I had to put it in, Greg, because I know there was a couple of honorable mentions here that you will talk about that almost made my cut, and that's why I obviously gave it to you and Carl for kind of for vetting and for verification. But yous were happy enough to have this one in.
This one had to go in. This would have been on my list.
Charles Bronson and Vincent fucking Price, man. Come on.
What more do you want?
Like literally Charles Bronson, one of the most legitimate badass human beings ever to walk the earth, not just an actor.
He's a legit hard man, wasn't he?
Oh, he was proper fucking almost Marine or something, wasn't he? He was
I,
legit
I,
army guy as well.
I
I
couldn't
think.
tell you, but I wouldn't have been telling him now anyway. Put it that way.
Yeah. It's just, well, listen, when you get the most notorious gangster in England naming himself after Charles Bronson, well, then you know that you're
Yeah.
onto something.
My name is Charlie Bronson.
Yeah, I mean, this guy was just, he was a proper war veteran. In fact, there he was. Here we go. I had to do a little bit of fact checking here. Oh my good Lord. Yeah. Bronson did not speak any English at home during his childhood in Pennsylvania, like many. So he's Lithuanian originally.
Is he?
Yeah. Here's a cool. Born Charles Dennis Bukinski, the 11th of 15 children, this makes sense, into a Roman Catholic family of Lithuanian descent in Ehrenfeld, Pennsylvania, in the coal region of the Allegheny Mountains of North Johnstown, Pennsylvania. Well, that already makes him badass.
He survived up there.
Here you go. Let me see here. Worked in the mine until he enlisted in the United States Army Air Forces in 1943 during World War II. He served in the 760th Flexible Gunnery Training Squadron, and in 1945 as a Boeing B-29 Superfortress aerial gunner with the Guam-based 61st Bombardment Squadron within the 39th Bombardment Group, which conducted combat missions against the Japanese home islands. He flew 25 missions and received a Purple Heart for wounds received in battle. So it was fucking right. Charles Bronson,
what a man,
a badass.
He's a bad man.
Same as Christopher Lee. He was also war veteran.
War vet, yeah.
But like Charles Bronson, good Lord, you give that man all your money. Unreal, man. That's actually a pretty cool little caveat, wasn't it?
Yeah, I didn't realize it was that. Now I didn't know he was in the army.
That's legit.
I just knew he was a bad man.
Well, there we go. So when you watch your Charles Bronson action movies, know that he could do all of that and more. But in this one, House of Wax horror, man, I think this is a great movie. I haven't watched this in a long time. We mentioned that it was 1953, and I mentioned a number earlier, right? With Hammer Horror. Basically, it wasn't Hammer Horror. It was it Hammer Horror? Was it the thing from Another World where it was 400 grand and then they made 3 million?
No, it was their first number one on the list. Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
Well, yeah, right. That was 1956. Wait and you hear this. Fuck me, man. 1953. Budget 1 million.
That's massive, even.
Box office 23.75.
Yeah, you make them all day, every day.
Good Lord. 1953.
Like you're 20 timing your money there. Of course you're gonna go back to it. You go to the well every day for that.
Every day. Yeah, man. That's it's a great fucking movie, man. Like just the whole premise of it, a wax house it's made of real people.
Creepy.
Very creepy, very dark.
Especially if you think about it, the likes of in England, even we have one in town here, the wax museums of all the famous people.
Yeah.
Some of them you haven't seen in a while.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Is that really you, Michael? MJ?
Really he's not dead. He's just taking a break.
Oh, the King. Yeah. The King was doing that. Yeah. But that's been your list. So why don't you kind of shout out before we wrap up? Why don't you shout out a couple of your honorable mentions?
I know you're a fan of J-horror.
Absolutely, yeah.
How could you not be with the likes of obviously Ringu and things like that? Have you seen The Ghost of Yotsuyama?
I have not, actually. I'm not going to lie.
No. Go and watch that. It's like a cross of The Grudge with every other ghostly movie ever made.
Is this an old movie?
1959, yeah.
Can you send me a WhatsApp as soon as you're off this, and I'm going to watch that? Yeah.
Like IMDb rank it 7 out of 10.
That's high.
And then, of course, it wouldn't be me without picking an old creature feature along the way. Tarantula.
Spot on.
Tarantula is gas.
Yeah.
It's so weird. And then you go again. I could go. Technically, it could be a creature feature, The Blob, which obviously inspired the remake, which friend of the show Nick Benson worked on. Shout out to Nick.
I nearly put it in, but I just couldn't find a spot for it above what was already in it. But yeah, that's a great movie.
Yeah. What was the other one? Attack of the 50-Foot Women.
That's something.
Yeah, that's gas. That one is
based on a true story.
Then I've one more creature feature there for you. The giant Gila monster.
Yes.
That one. I think I watched a lot of these growing up, and I think that's where my love for creature features came from.
Yeah.
They were so simple and so easily done.
Yeah. I mean, the Godzilla, the original Godzilla, I was going to put in as well.
58, isn't it? 58, 57, something like that.
Yeah, 58. That was close to getting in. If you want to talk about creature features as well, with the old.
Yeah. Sometimes I don't tend to count that as a horror film, though. Really.
I suppose it was horrific at the time.
At the time, yeah, maybe, yeah.
Think about how scary it is if this big absolute mad dragon /
dinosaur
is coming out of the fucking water. You'd be like, what?
Yeah.
It's still creepy, isn't it? When you see in the newer ones, this massive thing creating these waves. Imagine being in New York City, looking at the water,
and then you have the 99 horrific one where he makes the thing and your man's running along the pier to try and get back in.
Oh my god! Yeah,
gas.
Yeah.
But I think we'll leave it there, will we?
Yeah, I think that's our show, man. That's been a great list. Don't forget, do go and check out Fright Rags, as we mentioned. Do follow us as well, of course. We're on Facebook as well. We're on the Slap Horror on Facebook. Greg is very, very active there. Always putting up cool little
posts here and there.
Yeah, where we kind of little debate makers possibly.
We try.
And we're soon to have. We are definitely soon to have a Twitter anyway. I don't know whether we're going to go down the Instagram road. Possibly we will. Greg, you're kind of into the Instagram, so. We probably will.
I generally am not, but it seems to be the one that's working, so I might just get onto it.
Yeah.
I might have to try and twist the wife's arm because she's really good with it.
Cool. So there we go. So Greg's missus.
She doesn't know that yet either.
Instagram. Yeah. Greg's missus is on Instagram. I know her name, but we're not going to give away names of the missuses here. Hey, Zoe.
Sure, look. But I think we'll leave it there.
100%. And of course, if you want to email us, if you ever want to kind of get in touch with us, we're at otshorror@gmail.com. Isn't that right?
That's the one. Yeah.
Yeah. otshorror@gmail.com. And most importantly, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, ghouls, goblins, aliens, whatever y'all want to call yourself, make sure that you subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell notification, because that's exactly how we get our support. Please like the video as well. We know the algorithm on likes doesn't really matter much these days, but it's always nice to know that people appreciate your show. So a little token like would be well appreciated, and let us know whether you agree or disagree with our list. Do check our back catalogue. It's absolutely phenomenal. We've had some great guests on already.
Belters.
Absolute belters. And it's only going to grow from strength to strength here. We've got some great guests upcoming as well. And look, we're giving you 10% off the best horror merch on the planet. So go to Fright Rags and OTS Horror.
Buy a lot.
10% off and buy a lot. So that's it for this week. Greg, pleasure as always. And until next week, ladies and gentlemen, stay scared, be afraid of the dark, and don't look under the